When we think about Earth Day or taking care of the earth, we often consider the usual suspects like planting trees and recycling and cleaning up our roadways and waterways. And these are good and valuable endeavors. But you know me, that is not enough. We gotta go deeper. Because Earth Day, which was yesterday, but really should be an all-time thing, right? Isn't just about doing something great one day of the year to acknowledge the earth and nature. It can be a reminder to us of that great interconnectedness that we, the earth, the plants, the water, the sky, the birds, we all have. And if we believe, like we said at the beginning, that there's one presence and one power in the universe, and that's energy that we could call God or spirit or universe or the force, doesn't that include the earth and everything on it? So it makes, when I think about all of that, one of the things that comes to mind is the story of the Garden of Eden. And in it, I'm sure you're familiar, God creates the world and everything in it, and it's a paradise. And Adam and Eve come along, and they don't follow God's instructions. Oops. And they eat from the fruit, from the knowledge of good and evil. And of course, God throws them out of the garden for disobeying. It's not really a very much of a fun story, that part of the story. And it's not a picture of God that I think most of us would relate to. But let's take a step back and remember, as those of us who've been in our Bible class remember, that this is the story that the Hebrew people told to understand their origin. This is how they were trying to understand their world. It's not supposed to be a history lesson. It's a reminder to their people of what happens when you don't follow the rules. Sort of like the fairy tales that we tell kids about not going into the woods at night, right? So, and in addition, we remember that the people of thousands of years ago who were telling this story had a very different understanding of the world around them, right? The sky was a dome because guess what? It looked like a dome. So why does Earth Day make me think of this story? Well, it describes a utopian ideal of what a world looks like in harmony. I like that. I like that vision. It's an ideal world where there's peace and sunshine and frolicking and, all that good stuff. But what's the first thing that humans do? They make a choice. Ugh. And that was the problem. My question is it really eating the fruit, or was it that they decided that they knew better than God? And it wasn't so much that God knew everything and they were just supposed to follow blindly, but it's that they created separation from them and God. Instead of being like, oh, we can all be this energy of fun and frolicking and sunshine, we're going to go and decide that we're separate and do something different. Now, in the story, God casts out Adam and Eve for their choice, and they go about having their struggle, and they suffer, and they have all that things to do to make their livelihoods. But I want to reiterate, this is the story of the Hebrew people, not a historical account. But that doesn't mean there's not something to learn from it. I also like to point out, which we learned from our book about how to read the Bible. Again, reading the Bible again for the first time. Fun fact, the serpent was a common symbol of Canaanite fertility in the region of the time that this was being written. So the serpent was symbolizing you leaving your group of people and going and being tempted by intermixing, shall we say, with the other people. It's a symbol. It made sense to them at that time. It didn't actually mean a thing. But so that's happy side note. Now we're back on track. When I think about the arc of the history of humans, I kind of see this slow forgetting. Religion and spirituality, whatever you wanted to call it, used to be in the forefront of most people's lives. It was integral to how they understood the world. There might have been some bad science in there, but it's how they understood the world. Everything was the will of the gods, and so that was very important for them to be engaged in that. And people were in sync with the natural seasons, with the harvest and the weather, and they knew what was going on. Certainly, life was much harder than the Garden of Eden ideal, but there was this connection and respect of all things and how it all worked together. And we can't go backward in time, and I'm not suggesting we do, because I really enjoy eating out of season produce. And that's pretty great. That's, and I also enjoy being able to, go down and hop on a plane and, in theory, go anywhere I want. It's pretty great. But I don't think that we have to lose those conveniences of our modern world to once again raise up our consciousness and our awareness of their interconnectedness with all things. I think that they can live together. I don't think that people were kicked out of the garden. I think that we're still there, but we've forgotten that we're there. Just have these blinders on. That's the real mistake, or sin, is that we've forgotten our oneness with all things. So, this Earth Day, month, year, lifetime, Earth lifetime, yes. So yes, let's plant a tree. Arbor Day is coming up next week. Plant a tree, plant 5 trees, plant 10 trees, plant a tree. Recycle, yes. Or be like me and start planting all your seedlings in every plastic container you can get your hands on. It's even better than recycling. And yes, definitely clean up litter or whatever else you said. Bill and I were at Lowe's the other day, and we were walking out, and there was this plastic bag blowing across the parking lot, and I chased it down and put it in the car so I could take it home and make sure it managed to get taken care of. Because I was like, we're so close to the water, that bag could easily end up in the ocean. So, it's one little plastic bag, but I took care of it. And, that's just... So yes, do those things. But, so that's the things we do here in the earthly realm, but we also need to take it up to another level. Go to our spiritual, and clear up those illusions of separation. Because that's how we left the garden, was by believing that we did. Well, that brings us to the ever popular homework section. So, you all know I'm kind of like hippie green person anyway. But, so number 1 is consider the trees. The trees. Because, really take a moment. Gaze out there. See, there's a beautiful tree right out there. Not only are they opposite us in the oxygen-carbon dioxide cycle, which in and of itself is a reason to think trees are pretty great. I like breathing. But they're really these amazing works of nature in another way. They grow tall despite the snow and the wind beating on them. They provide shelter to animals, fuel for our fireplaces, and some even produce food. So, give thanks for a tree. Really Feel the connection with the trees. You don't have to hug it, but you certainly can. And not only are you considering the tree, you're retraining your brain to be in that sense of connected and awness of the tree. Next, consider the source. When you sit down for a meal, take a moment to feel gratitude for all the steps involved in getting that meal to your plate. Unless you got it at the farmer's market or from your own backyard, there's probably a lot of steps involved in getting that food on your plate. There was farmers, truckers, and for us there was probably a barge captain or airplane pilot. It's pretty intense. Then there we have store employees, and it was prepared food that there's people, chefs, or there's just, it goes on and on and on, right? It's pretty amazing. And there's the bees that pollinated the plants, and goes on and on. And of course, the plant or the animal itself. It's a pretty amazing cycle that we're involved in. And when I stop to think about all of that, it helps me be more mindful of what I take in and what I choose to purchase and what I choose to be, how I want to be in that cycle. And finally, get green. Many studies have shown the benefits of having green space. Our city has so many great trails. You all know how wonderful it is. And taking that time to be engaged in nature, walking in nature, gazing at nature, even the studies say even a grassy spot with some trees, not even anything super fancy like we have here in Anchorage, has this positive effect on your psyche. And the studies show that even if you can't make it into an actual green space, which of course is better, having pictures of green spaces in your space that you're in, your home and in your office or whatever, actually has a positive effect too. Seems like a pretty easy fix to help retrain your brain to be in a better place. So, when you're out enjoying the sunshine, and it's funny, I've been talking about sunshine. We've had all this sunshine today, we were overcast, but it's okay, the sun will come back. And it'll be back a lot. Sun will come out tomorrow, yes. So when you're out enjoying the sunshine and the trees, engage your curiosity, your power of noticing. See the animal tracks. See the new flowers and the buds. Oh, my lilac bushes are budding, my rose bush is budding. Even, I think I might have seen a little bit going on the raspberries. Things are happening. It's pretty excellent. And noticing it just fills your heart. And be okay to be in that wonder place. And the birds. Welcome back all the varieties of the birds every day. It seems like, oh, there's another kind of bird I haven't seen in a while. Oh, there's another one. So as each of us does these things, it changes our relationship to the natural world around us. And it brings us closer to the garden.